Good morning, folks. Today we're headed to an antique store in Canal, New York. Canal is known for the historic headquarters of the Beechnut baby food factory. Of course, it's long gone, and so we won't be seeing that. And I also want to say that this area, it's nestled in the Mohawk Valley State Heritage Corridor, which means that we might find some really interesting things. It's known for its deep Native American roots. And I want to tell you something else, as you saw with the thumbnail. Now, in my last video, I mentioned that I wanted to start learning about the collectibles and about antiques. And so today we're going to start with my first learning experience, and that is about the depression glass. And our goal on today's trip is to see if we could find some depression glass and see if we can identify it. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna buy what I see. I might just do a catch and release because, as most of you know, I'm trying to declutter. Unless I see something that really was what I thought was really valuable, but I'm just learning, folks, and maybe there's some of you out there too that don't know much about depression glass, and you might find this interesting. Do you know, I've heard about depression glass before, but I always thought that it meant it was the way that the glass was made, compressed. Anyway, let's get going. We're leaving right now. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll be there in about a half an hour. Bye. So let me just finish that thought. Depression glass was not, the depression does not mean the way the glass was made. It was the era in which it was made. It was mass produced, and it was back during the Great Depression, the 1920s and 30s. And a lot of the glass was given away because people couldn't afford to go out and buy crystal and some of the other expensive types of glassware. And so it has a fascinating history. The glass comes in different colors, and a lot of it is not marked. So we're going to have to really look at a piece and see if we think it's depression glass. But how exciting is this? I hope we find some, because although I'm not going to probably buy it, I'm going to learn something. And hopefully some of you will too, folks. Let's get going. Okay, folks, we are at the Showcase Antiques, and we're in Little Falls. The antique store in Canal was closing up, so I wasn't able to go in there. So we're here, and I think you're gonna love it. Let's go. Okay, let's go in. We have a few things we could look at right out here on the porch. I got the approval, and a nice woman said that it was fine to do the filming. Here's some old tools, you guys. Now, I know we're in the market. We are looking for the depression glass, but we're going to look at everything. What? Now see, look at this. That, see it? That is similar to what we're looking for. But they don't really have markings on this glass. So I'm not going to know for sure, folks. But we're still having fun. Some pictures. Nice big pots, boy. If you wanted to make some meals there. Well, this is pretty interesting. Organization holder. It's everything you can imagine in there. I used to have one of those. Now, see, all of these probably, well, not all of them, but there's history to these things, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to get to different type of pottery, too. So each time we come out here, we are going to have something new to look for. And I think it'll make it exciting and it'll be a good learning experience. Let's go inside. Okay, we're here on the inside of the store. And right here. I'm trying my best this time not to have anybody in the snowshoes. Okay, I changed the adjustment on this. I had it too close. Beautiful pictures. Now these are all in cases. Can you believe that? Look at it. And there's rows and rows of this. Now this is different vendors here. Oh, I think she said 30 vendors. Now, don't forget, we're looking for that depression glass. I'm trying to remind myself, folks. That's a crystal glass bowl, but I don't think that's what we're looking for. Some material here. Nice picnic baskets. Old picnic baskets. And here, you know, it's on our list. One of the things that we're going to look for is cast iron. And here you go. When we get to that. I know we all know what cast iron is, but that's a nice set right there. If you were in the market for it, look at all these swatches. If you were going to make a quilt, those are nice. Okay, I'm going to try to go across without going up and down too much. That might be easier. Look at this set. That's beautiful. $3.25. Okay, let's go back this way. These are very nice. Here we have some jewelry. What beautiful, beautiful items we have here. Look at this set. Dishes. Okay, I just showed these, right? Did I? Yes, I did. Let's get over here to the license plates. Baseball cards. I like that eagle. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Okay, we have some other kitchen items here. Plates. Saucers. I like this little stand right there. That's pretty. Pots and pans. Look at these big mixing bowls and things. Look at that. Could feed an army. Cook for an army. Now, if you see some of that depression glass and I miss it, please share it in a comment and put the time that you saw it, and I'll look back and see how I missed it, and others might be able to see it. But right now, we're not anywhere near that type of thing, I don't think. Look at this old stove. Isn't that nice? Big butcher block right next to it. Cookie jars. Wow, look at these old uniforms, huh? I bet you there's some history to that. Pictures. Yeah. Look at the helmet. Saddle bag here. Look at these. Look at these old train sets. Collector's map. And here's some more. Okay, we're gonna move along. What do we have here now? is that? That's a crystal bowl. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the affordable glassware from the Great Depression. And then we have to try to identify it. And I know there's some experts out there, so hopefully if I pick something up, you could let me know what you think. We could take a vote on it. Look at this, is a nice section. Old banisters, wrought iron pieces. Interesting. Now let's see. Maybe, just maybe, something in here. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are seeing some wonderful treasures. I'm just sure you are. And I wish I knew what to look for. But that's why we're here, to learn, some of us. Old bottles. And I do like the way they have these rooms divided. You know, they're spacious, and I love that they have the wall behind it, all separating it. Well, some of them are spacious, not all of them. Look at Popeye. Like, see the wall behind here, how nice that is? Look at this old wooden chest. Now, it's very windy outside, right? And I think I could hear that wind howling from inside. I feel that so close to history. You know, it makes you feel a certain way when you're around these kind of things. You know, it brings back the memories of my grandparents. And I guess my parents too. And when we were younger, But mostly, I think it reminds me of my grandparents. I could remember being in their home up in Michigan. And I remember a lot of these things. You know, back then, things were simple. Not like they are today. Look at this. This is the Mohawk Valley that we're in. So you'll see a lot of these look at even the little dolls, like Indian. Look at them. See that? I met a lady when I was coming over here, and she had braids in her hair. She was about my age. And I tell her that I loved her hair. You know, she fit right into the Mohawk Valley history. She's a nice lady. I was telling her, well, actually, I ran into her in the bathroom, is how it happened. And she caught me with my wig off. So when I left the house and I was in my car talking to you, there was black flies all over the place, right? And I swear one got inside my wig, and I was pushing down on my wig trying to kill it against my scalp. So I ended up going into a store on the way down here, and I took my wig off, and this lady walked in, and she had the long braids, and it was beautiful. She was beautiful. And so we talked about it, and she said her mother wore a wig all the time. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, now here is some clothing, and we don't really generally get into the clothing. But I'm sure there's some cool things here. Look at these wedding dresses. Don't you wish that you had the history behind the woman that wore this? You know, how long did she live? How many children did she have? You know, who did she marry? Did she have a good life? Okay, I think I missed something. You know, are her children still around, and did they have children? Just want to show you all these columns, all these glassed bookshelves that are closed in. Look at them. And we'll try to cover as much as we can of that. Now, I'm sure there's things that I'm going to miss. And I'm sorry about that. See, now I don't know, is this milk glass? See, we're going to be covering that too. Look at these nice little cars. If you have a man cave. They're cute, wall hanging cars. They're adorable. How much are they? $60 a set, I think. Do you see that? Those are unique. They'd be on the wall in my man cave if I had one. They'd be on a woman's man cave too, because they're neat. Every single corner that I turn, I'm in awe. I'm just in awe of the beautiful pieces. Now, see, let me get my glasses on. The depression glass, it comes, it comes in pink. Okay, this is a question I have for you all. If you could see that. Would this be, it doesn't have any signs. Would this be considered depression glass, folks? Let me know. Because I really don't know. And this next to it, too. It doesn't have, it could be, because they made clear depression glass. No, this is too heavy. I don't think this is it. Depression glass is supposed to be thin. And pink is actually one of the most popular colors. And they have different patterns on them, so they're not all the same. Now here's some stuff down here. See it? Could that be some? That's thin. That's Cambridge glass. That is, we'll probably get to that too, but that's not what we're looking for. That is just beautiful, though, I have to say. I don't think this is it, because that's heavy too. That piece right there. But that's all right. We'll keep looking. We're enjoying the thrill of the hunt. At least I hope we are. I'm sure we are, folks. Because I don't think you'd be watching if you didn't just love it. Some old quilts. Look at this old typewriter. Now, I'm old, folks. I was going to say I have never used one similar to that, but when I was in the military, I actually did. And what was that, back in 1976? Surely they were upgraded. By then. Well, in high school, when I learned typing, we didn't have them like that. I mean, that's pretty old, that one right there. Nice pocket knives. For you men that like, can you see the old tools and weapons? Look at the hatchets down here. Okay, I'm probably not gonna cover every single one of these because You know my 30-minute limit. It's like they must be getting close to that because I can feel it. This really would take 2 days to cover everything real slow. But I'm not sure I'll be back to this one because, you know, it is quite a ways. But they sure do have beautiful items here. And if you're from the area, this is a place well worth coming to. Take your time and you'll enjoy it. And I can just see some of these things displayed in your home. And like I always say, they're not only just beautiful and sentimental, but they're a conversation piece. And when I look back at these videos, I could see the times where I'm moving too fast. And I'm trying to get better at that, folks. I really am. So I hope this one will be a little better. I feel like I'm going slow. Did you know that there was a difference between antiques and vintage? Antiques are actually anything that is over 100 years old, and vintage is anything between 20 and 99 years old. I never knew that, folks. I really thought vintage meant antiques. That just goes to show you I have a lot to learn. But anyway, historic makers almost always hid their signatures or their stamps on the bottom or underside of a piece. So you have to look really close to see if you could find it because a lot of it is hidden. You want to look for flaws. You know, early antiques feature slight imperfections. They were not mass produced, so they're not going to be perfect. Like uneven hand screws or hand cut drawer joints. They're different than what we have today. And another thing that we need to know is that if you ever buy a piece, be careful of the way that you wash it or polish it, because you could actually destroy 90% of the item's financial value. And how heartbreaking would that be? You found something beautiful, you treasure it, and you go to clean it and polish it, and you're actually destroying it. So you have to be very, very careful on what you're going to use. So I hope you enjoyed that, folks. Wasn't that just awesome? Now, as she did, I asked the woman at the desk if she would show me a couple of pieces of the depression glass. And she didn't have much, but she had a couple of pieces that I took a picture of. So I'll show that just after this. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Just come by this antique center. This is also in Little Falls. And the woman in the other thrift store, in the other antique store, was telling me about it. And it's going to be a wonderful place to go through. We'll do it in one of our future videos, folks.